All right, morning, Sanbonani. Hello, how's it? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Vuka Nazo, your morning news analysis show. My name is Sihle Ngobese, aka Big Daddy Liberty. Apologies for not having been on your screens either on Sunday or on Monday. Sunday, of course, for Liberty and Friends. Guys, load shedding and really the power issues in the area have rendered us a bit off the grid, so to speak. No, that's not the expression, but definitely out of action for quite a while. With that being said, morning, hit that like button as always. Remember, that is your price of admission here on the show. Simply, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or on Facebook, or on Twitter, rather. Hit that like button, please. Do me a solid favor in that regard. Jam-packed show today, indeed, very heavily weighted on the politics side of things. Things have become quite a clown world. If you look at our politics, it actually reads like a parody or a satirical piece, a Babylon Bee type arrangement. So we'll get into that today. Hit the like button, please. Do me a solid favor in that regard, whether you're watching this live right now or watching the recording a bit later. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube in particular, do that solid favor and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead, do that solid favor and help me to reach the elusive number I'm trying to get to, which I'm hoping I can still achieve, of 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. With that being said, we have a website. Find us at bigdaddyliberty.com. There, of course, you can actually pledge some support to the show. Guys, between 50 to 100 Rand a month really is beginning to allow me to do some excellent work, devote more time to this. Right, now, that jibber jabber out the way, remember, you can also find our friends over at The Daily Friend. If you like how I start your morning, how about you visit them and help them, let them rather finish your news day. That's dailyfriend.co.za. Now, as I always say, with that jibber jabber out the way, how about we get straight into the news. People, what an interesting weekend it has been. You'll remember, of course, if you are paying attention, I did say to you that Cyril Ramaphosa is not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. For as much as he had that initial knee-jerk reaction, I did point out to you that what will happen invariably, as is always the case in politics, is that your strategists will sit you around a table and literally say, listen, do not freak out about this. There's two things we know about South Africans. Number one, they have goldfish memories. For as much as there's a lot of noise at the moment, and of course his friends, or some of his friends in the corporate media were even beginning to turn on him, one thing I told you would happen is his strategists, his analysts would get around him at the table and say, do not panic. South Africans have goldfish memories. They forget things very quickly. And all you need to do is dribble and distract them. And they will have forgotten in a few days as to what the outrage of the day was. And sure enough, what did I tell you would happen? He would cancel that particular speech that he was said to do, the one where he was said to resign, remember that? And what would likely happen is he would be on the phone between on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He would be on the phone with allies across the country saying, this is what we need to do to shore up support. Do I have your confidence? As he then looks to assess things on Monday, yesterday. And did that happen? Yes. Yes, it did. And if you watch the show, watch my tweets, you would have known exactly that that was how it was going to play out. But nonetheless, what I didn't anticipate playing out is one former president of the ANC, Jacob Zuma, publicly lambasting Cyril Ramaphosa. The man is spitting mad, if I can call him that. Let me just quickly put up an article on screen where he was speaking in KwaXimba. Zuma's been on a bit of a road show at the moment, going around particular regions here. You can see there you go. A Bullish Zuma addresses crowds in KwaXimba outside Durban, of course. Now, I'll quickly read a little excerpt here in this Times Live piece where former ANC President Jacob Zuma believes that his successor's tenure at the helm of the party has been uninspiring and had, quote, brought shame to the party, thus diminishing its party support. He's quoted as having said the ANC has left has been left bruised. The people's love for the party had been on the downward spiral. This was laid bare at the party's push showing at the local government elections last year, said Zuma. He warned, of course, that if history repeats itself at the 55th National Elections Conference, this would see the demise of the party. Zuma was addressing a packed Msinga Mlaba Sports Centre in Ward 1, KwaXimba, which is west of Durban. Zuma, who was warmly welcomed by ANC crowds, received grievances from the ward's councillor, Ubong Musa Kiza. I don't really care about that. What I really care about here, if anything, is the delicious hypocrisy here, or rather the delicious irony, which in and of itself is hypocritical. Jacob Zuma complaining about Cyril Ramaphosa being a reason for poor results. Excuse me, when did that exactly start? Didn't that start under his leadership? And I want to play a quick video of that particular meeting, because the ironies become even more delicious when you listen to what he says about the criminal running the ANC, that is Ramaphosa. Begs the question, dear Zuma, what were you when you were at the helm of the ANC? Watch this.
Understanding the modern ANC, the town has changed. Oppression has not changed. Sisholon ukuthi izinto zishintshile. Umhlaba awukabibikho kithi. Sisahlala emkhukhwini. Abantu abasebenzi bayalala. Yini eshintshile? Umsebenzi we-ANC ushintsha isimo sempilo yabantu ukuthi bengcono eSouth Africa. Lokho esikumele. Hayi ukuthi igcwalisa amaphupho, imali eziningi esidala boma-trans kubantu abambalwa. Ayikho lona. Ayikho. Iyasihlaza lento njenge-ANC ukuthi kube khona isigebengu esihola i-ANC. Ngani mvumo khona isigebengu.
Holy moly. That last line is rather interesting. It reminds one of that whole idiom, that saying that when you point one finger, 4 fingers are pointed right back to you. It is hypocritical and laughable that Jacob Zuma, mired in scandal, mired in controversy, literally facing court cases left, right, and center, that is trying to expose his alleged criminality in the time when he was president, would have the audacity to ask a crowd of ANC supporters, who themselves were slightly bemused when he said this. There was a slight pause when he said that nonsense. They're like, is he talking about himself? Should we clap right now? Here's the same guy who has a near 250 million rand upgrade at his Nkandla home, allegedly through corrupt means, now asking fellow ANC supporters whether they accept the fact that they're being led by a criminal. Yo, Jacob, homie, someone given you a mirror anytime recently? Guys, it's this sort of hypocrisy that really has me coming back to remind you that do not be dribbled by whether it is a conversation of Jacob Zuma, Thabo Mbeki, Ramaphosa, or Didi Mabuza. That's you being dribbled and distracted, having a conversation around the swapping of the deck chairs. The Titanic is sinking, and it's about time, as I always say, that you remember the mission, which is to get rid of the ANC, sideline the politicians broadly beyond the ANC who hold their ideology of racialized leftism, racialized socialism or communism, sideline those ideas and usher in a period for South Africans that is defined by actual freedom, liberty, literally liberty, property rights, that the ability for South Africans to say they own something, not that the state owns it on their behalf. Liberty, property rights, a market economy, and non-racialism. If you forget that mission, then woe is you. I move us on this morning rather swiftly, as I'm trying to keep time here, to the EFF, who also came out, guns blazing. Julius Malema well, on the one hand, Jacob Zuma saying, you're led by a criminal, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. To Malema also spitting venom at Ramaphosa, pardon me, basically saying, hey, I'm out, my guns are blazing, I'm going to be looking to impeach Ramaphosa, and will make his life, according to the EFF, a living hell, much like they did with Jacob Zuma. Ironic that, but nonetheless, this is what he had to say.
Fellow South Africans, we gave Ramaphosa a chance to prove himself. He has dismally failed. We will treat him the same way we have treated Zuma. He must leave the office with immediate effect because he has not respected his oath of office. Everywhere and anywhere where we find Ramaphosa or we see Ramaphosa and we have an opportunity to stop him from speaking in the name of South Africa, we will do so. We call upon all the fighters and the ground forces to start treating Ramaphosa as such. We will start on Thursday and it will be wire until he let go of that office. That office must be occupied by a man of integrity, not a hypocrite, not a man with double personalities.
Again, it's the hypocrisy. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything that he's saying is wrong. You know, Malema has this wonderful gift, if you will, cunning character as he may be to able to use a grain of truth to hide his own inadequacies, right? To use a grain of truth to hide his own inadequacies, and to then conceal the fact that he may be flip-flopping on an issue. Here's a guy who himself is lambasting, you know, the unworthy nature of Ramaphosa occupying that seat of leadership. Yet he himself, Malema, is literally accused of similar wrongdoing that is involving other people's money, or in this case, even if Ramaphosa, it involves his own money. But nonetheless, as I lose my point there, let me come back to the actual point. You know, if you're gonna look at the what do Christians say? That whole notion of, you know, if you're going to call out the speck in someone's eye, be very careful of the whole log that is in yours. But nonetheless, that's not really the issue I want to get into here. Here's a character who basically says, you know, we're going to make the life of this president a living hell. Wherever he speaks, we're going to go after him. And more importantly, he actually calls for the impeachment, the voting in today. Remember, the sitting in parliament, where he says, you know, they're going to vote for Ramaphosa to be impeached. Let me put this Mail and Guardian article on, which basically cited how, let me just fix this. Sorry about that, folks. There we go. Addressing a media briefing in Johannesburg on Monday, Malema said the party was happy that a secret ballot is not provided for because this would force MPs to show the public where they stood as individuals. Quoted as saying, Zuma, or Buffalo Bill as we call it here, spoke on TV and said Cyril Ramaphosa must go. Lindiwe Sisulu spoke on TV, said Cyril must go. Supra, that's Supra Mahamapelo, said Malema said, pardon me, I misread that. Tomorrow, let them go and raise their hands and not be peacetime heroes. He's referring to about today, of course, in Parliament, where the vote to consider that Section 89 panel report will be considered on whether impeachment proceedings should be initiated. Malema said the FF would insist on a physical vote during which he believed the impeachment would commence. He added that in addition to the Section 89 vote, the opposition was also looking at bringing a separate motion of no confidence in Ramaphosa, which he believed would be tabled by the DA as it's the largest opposition party. If it didn't, the EFF would bring the motion itself. End of quote. Again, I have no problem with all of this. I really have no problem with all of this. I don't want people to misunderstand me. What I do find funny, though, is the rank hypocrisy of who it's coming from. You know, in this country, we really have this terrible affliction of imposing the worst of society upon ourselves as the leaders of society. And you see it now where there's a complete lack of credibility in when Julius Malema, even though he's saying the right things, but him being the genesis of those things being said. I'll repeat what I said after the first story. We need to start choosing better leadership in this country. And that really includes, as I mentioned, looking beyond the ANC and also at those politicians who hold the same ideology as the ANC, such as the EFF. And people have been saying this online. The EFF, make no mistake about it, is nothing more than a branch, an extension, a limb, if you will, of the ANC, a faction of the ANC. And you see it in how Julius Malema will flip-flop on many an issue, where, for instance, he said, oh, Didi Mabuza is absolutely excellent. Don't worry, by Christmas, Didi Mabuza will be the president, according to Malema at the same press conference. This is the same Malema who basically called out to Didi Mabuza as being the wrong person to ever be the country's president. In fact, he said he will never be the country's president. It's that flip-flopping which makes the EFF, aside from its terrible ideology of communism, an absolutely dangerous and untrustworthy party. All right, folks, we look to wrap this conversation up this morning as we've gone, pardon me, from one faction of the ANC to the EFF, which is in a sense another faction of the ANC, to the ANC itself. Yesterday, its party spokesperson coming out guns blazing in defense of Ramaphosa, saying, you know what, the ANC and Ramaphosa will survive the Phala Phala scandal. This is Mabe, the party spokesperson, and his comments yesterday.
Again, an assurance that the ANC is very much at one as it relates to how it manages its own internal dynamics and all of that. We know that the release of the Section 89 report has attracted great public interest as it relates to the future of the African National Congress and its leader in the person of the president. We can assure you that the ANC is capable of managing all of this. We have done so in the past, and we are going to do so now. When we emerge out of this NEC, the Treasurer General would outline what is the position of the ANC to assure the citizens of this country that the ANC is still very much alive, and to outline and direct what our members of parliament are expected to do next year, tomorrow when they go to the National Assembly.
There you have it. Again, he's making it very clear that regardless of the rancor, regardless of the noise, the ANC will likely rally around Cyril Ramaphosa. And I told you this would happen. A lot of you are saying, oh, here comes the resignation speech and yada, yada, yada. And I said, for as much as Ramaphosa may have been said, according to a lot of the news articles, that he's ready to resign, that he'll throw in the towel, Ramaphosa is surrounded by a very, very shifty and cunning politicians who know the political game, who unfortunately and also understand the nature of the South African electorate, how we easily forget things as South African voters. We have goldfish memories. And they told him, bide your time. Do not do anything hasty. Buy yourself some time. Get to the NWC meeting, and then consequently yesterday, the NEC meeting. And from there, after you've done the calls, lobbying your friends, making sure you've showed up your support, they will come out with a unified front. And that's what you're now seeing. And that's what you're hearing Mabe in that little piece, basically intimating to say that, not only is it a united front, they will instruct their own ANC members in today's parliamentary meeting to consider that Section 89 report, you remember. They'll instruct them basically to vote against it or vote against moving to impeachment. Guys, this is politics. Politics is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And understanding politics requires the sort of analysis that allows you to put yourself into the minds of your opponents, basically, and understand how they would play a situation, even if you think you're on the ascendancy, even if you think you've got your opponent by the short and curlies. You've got to be able to understand what your opponent will likely say. So how will this play out? Well, South Africans, you've just seen for yourself the high drama involved in this and all the actors in it. We'll keep an eye on it, of course, as this will play out itself today in Parliament, and of course going forward as the ANC heads to its elective conference. We'll keep an eye on it, as I've always said. Folks, that's it for this morning edition of Vuka Nazo. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, Vuka Nazo comes to you every morning from 7 a.m. You don't have to be awake at 7 to watch it. You can always catch it the recording throughout the day. All you need to do is hit that like button, please, and subscribe to the Big Daddy Liberty YouTube channel. Find us, of course, as I always say, at our website too. That's bigdaddyliberty.com. bigdaddyliberty.com. Okay, guys, with that being said, enjoy your Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, folks. I'll see you tomorrow, bright and early, for another episode of Vuka Nazo.